Oh, oh crap! Hold on. All right, y'all know what it is. Technical little issues here and there. Yeah. All right. So we're back in the groove. So welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. I hope y'all are well. I think I got a little bit of a treat for y'all tonight. So y'all know what it is. But before we jump into any of that, like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel if you would, so that we can keep bringing you independent Black male thought that isn't filtered through corporate sponsorship or political correctness, as it were. So yeah, but that said, because I, really did, I wasn't planning on seeing this right away, but a colleague of mine who is a professional film critic and he routinely gets to catch these flicks early. He sent me his review a couple days before it came out, and I had to go see it after that. So we are talking about Jurassic World Dominion, and there will be spoilers. So just letting you know, if that's not something you want to do, it's understood. You can come back and check us later, but we will be having spoilers. And I will actually be having two guests help me chop it up. We're still waiting on one, but I will go ahead and introduce the first, who is the colleague I'm referring to. So I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself. There you go. What's good? What's going on, man?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergio Mims. I am a film journalist, a film critic, film historian. I taught at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I have lectured over Chicago. I am the co-founder and the co-programmer of the Black Harvest Film Festival, which is the longest running Black film festival in the country. This year will be our 28th year, continuous year. Um, I also do DVD commentaries for Arrow, for Kino, for Vinegar Syndrome. I did the commentaries for Sweet Sweetback, the Blu-ray, Sweet Sweetback, Lilies of the Field, a Man Called Adam, and other movies as well. Just this past April, I was invited by Turner Classic Movies to they flew me in to introduce some of the movies at their 10th annual TCM Film Festival, which was fantastic.
Okay.
80 movies in 4 days. I didn't do all those pictures. No.
Wow.
That was a whirlwind. And before anything, and also I am the change of pace. I am the classical music chief of WHPK Radio here in Chicago.
Okay.
Also, shout out, I gotta say, God bless you, Kevin Samuels. God bless you, Kevin Samuels. I always used to call him Saint Kevin. Now he truly is Saint Kevin. Watched him every day. He was the bright light. He still is the bright light.
Well, let me hold tight 1 second. I want to bring in our third guest. This is those who watch my show on a regular should not be surprised that I had to have the good brother come through. So let's go ahead and welcome brother Artisan MC, who is at the shop and working. So we only have him for a little bit of time, but I had to get both of these brothers in. Artisan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and I unmuted myself.
All right. Artisan, we have a professional film critic joining us this time. So, so we get the real deal, and and I don't know how you wouldn't know, but if you don't know, Artisan is our favorite Manosphere comic book shop owner. Stand-up comics in the Bay Area, But so you can go ahead. I know you're working, brother. You can go ahead and mute it until you're ready to come in.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here hustling. I'm doing a couple of things at the same time. You know me, multitasking.
I understand. But you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and mute it until you're ready. And I'm going to have the good brother kind of kick us off. We are talking today about Jurassic World Dominion. And let me go ahead and share the screen a little bit. So this just came out last, Thursday?
Yeah, technically Thursday night, right?
Yeah. although for that's for us regular folk. Some of us get to go in far earlier. But if you would kind of talk us through, the significance of the film and some of the elements you want to really kind of put on the table, because you're the reason I went to see this. I mean, you're the one that I was going to see it, but I wasn't in a rush. And when I got your critique, I was like, you know what, I gotta check this out. So tell us a little bit about this.
Right. This is supposedly the last of the Jurassic movies. It had the biggest opening this weekend domestically of any film so far this year. It beat Top Gun Maverick. They went back and got the original director of the first Jurassic World movie, Colin Trevorrow.
Okay.
And it recycles, like all those Jurassic World movies. It recycles a lot of stuff you've seen from all the other Jurassic movies. I'll give it credit. It moves. For a movie that's 2.5 hours, it moves.
Mhm.
And what you're seeing right now, this chase sequence is really well done.
Yeah.
Really well done. I think it's the highlight of the picture.
Right.
It's gotten bad reviews. It's gotten some good reviews, but most of the reviews have been pretty terrible. But, people, for a movie like this is a movie that's critic proof. People are
Yeah.
going to go see it because it's going to give them what they want: dinosaurs and action and
Well,
special
and,
effects
and nostalgia. Because if you
and
if you
nostalgia. Right.
you spent the last X amount of time watching these Jurassic movies, you're going to get the new, you're going to get the old, and if you like Jurassic, it's going to work for you.
Right. Now, what happened, and you're seeing her now in some scenes. There is a sister in the film. It's played by the actress named DeWanda Wise. I think that's her name, DeWanda Wise. She played Nola Darling in the Netflix TV version of She's Gotta Have It.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you can see she's a gorgeous woman, absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, if you're a Black film critic, you always look at a film sometimes with a third eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just not enough to look at a movie and deconstruct it and see why does this work and why doesn't it work. But if you're a Black critic, sometimes you have to notice, okay, if this is a movie, it's a Black film, or it's a movie with Black people in it, how are we presented?
Mm-hmm.
How are we treated? And there are movies in which Black people, which things are used as metaphor, for Black people. For example, Gremlins.
Okay.
Gremlins when Gremlins came out in 84, 85, Gremlins came out, every Black person said, the movie's about us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's about these people who come into a white neighborhood and they tear shit up.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
The Ewoks.
Okay.
And Return of the Jedi. They're little African pygmies.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what they are. They got the chains around their necks and everything. And they speak in this kind of pseudo-African language. And I don't have to tell you about Jar Jar Binks.
No, you really don't. Yeah.
Okay. So, so I'm looking at this film and I'm like, okay, so we got this sister. I cannot remember her name in the film. But she kind of masculine, but still she's really gorgeous. And she's got a terrific body. And you got to admit that the film could have done the obvious. They could have made her this fat, sassy Black. I'm the best rabbit in this pot. Watch it. Once you set off, and that's usually what they do. Fat, Black, sassy Black woman who's man hungry. And she's not. And we find out later why she isn't. So I know, I said, something's going to go left here. I know it. And then they introduced this brother whose name is, I'm trying to get his name here right.
On the screen, Ramsey Cole is the name of the character.
Right.
His name, the actor is Mamadou Afi, I think.
Mamadou Afi. He's done a lot of TV work. And they present him. And once again, he is intelligent. He's basically second in command of this place called Biosyn, which is the evil thing that's planning this. It's not exactly clear, but this whole, evil plan to take over the planet.
Yeah, there's a new evil corporation in every movie. Like they really do. They keep the same elements for each film. There's an evil corporation. There's a wealthy guy, white guy at the top. the dinosaurs always break free, and when they
Right.
break free, all hell's gonna break loose. They keep the same pattern elements in every movie,
Yeah.
which
If
isn't
it's
bad
not
if
broke,
you like it. You like it.
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
And,
they
and
don't.
the other thing too is that nobody has caught on this. The evil guy, the bad guy, is
Mhm.
made up to look like Tim Cook from Apple.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I don't know how many people caught that. Same thing, white hair, glasses, all in
Mhm.
black. I said he looks like Tim Cook, the head of Apple.
Okay.
Everybody caught that on it.
Okay. A little
Okay.
disconnected from reality a bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of a dig at Apple. Okay.
Okay.
So you have these two really attractive black people.
Mhm.
Now you have two other couples. You have oh gosh, what's that guy's name? I call him a hunk of meat because that's really all he is. You got Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. Okay, so they're a couple, romantic
Right.
couple. And then
Right.
they brought back Sam Neill
And
and Laura
Laura
Dern.
Dern. Yeah.
Right, from the original movies, right?
Right.
And he's carrying a torch for her, and at the end they kiss, and everybody all ooh and ahs, and they go off together. So that's another romantic couple. And then you got Jeff Goldblum, who makes, if you remember, in Lost World, he had a black daughter.
Right. Right.
Now
And like 5 or 6 kids or something like that.
Yeah, no, she doesn't appear in this movie.
Right.
It would have been interesting if he brought her back, but he makes a comment that he has 5 kids.
Right.
So he's got a family life. So you were thinking, okay, the black woman and the black guy, they're intelligent, they're resourceful, they know how to get things done. You'll think they'll get together. No,
Mhm.
they have to make her a lesbian.
Okay. Yeah.
And she makes these comments about she likes redheads and, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'm like, how come they can't even have a romantic black couple? It reminds me of something you said once about Black Panther. I remember you said at the end of the film when Chadwick Boseman kisses Lupita Nyong'o,
Oh, okay.
and she goes like, no, not now. I must go back to my studies. And I go like, you mean Black Panther can't even get a date? He's a superhero. He's a superhero. What? Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the first thing I said to myself, man, get yourself a white girl. I'm serious. Because I'm like, why is it he cannot allow black people to be human romantic people who fall in love? No romantic people. There's got to be some barrier.
Well, and the other thing I'll say with this movie, so you're right. They show several couples that kind of form. Jeff Goldblum, it's implied that he always kind of has his side thing going, whatever that is.
Right.
So this character, Kayla Watts, who's played by DeWanda Wise, she comes on the screen. She commands the camera well with her face. I mean, she's beautiful.
Oh, she's fantastic on the camera.
Beautiful. Chocolate, the whole deal.
Yeah,
but
dark skin, everything.
But even before there's the reveal that she's a lesbian, you still get this masculine kind of thing. Now, so what she is she's a smuggler, right?
Yeah, she's a cargo pilot. She's a smuggler, right?
Cargo pilot, smuggler, walking around. I think where were they? They were in the Middle East.
They were in Malta.
Where were they?
Malta.
Okay.
Which is weird because they try to make it look like the Middle East, but it says very clear it's Malta. Malta's not the Middle East.
But the whole tone was Middle Eastern, so I was like, but dangerous area, and they say it several times. It's risky to live there. She's at home, like she's walking around like she's a native, just real calm, real in her element in this dangerous space, and they even have her in different parts of the film with her arms out. She's kind of swole, real kind of masculine presentation despite her beauty. And that's the interesting dichotomy for her character. She's beautiful, yet she's tied into this masculine kind of representation. She's rolling around with Chris Pratt, they're fighting people and so on and so forth. And then you get to this brother, Mamadou Athi, who works at
Biosyn.
And he's very metrosexual in his presentation. You don't quite know if they're trying to say if he's heterosexual or otherwise, but you wouldn't be surprised. He's either highly metrosexual or he's clearly gay. It's one of the two. But it really does kind of deflect from any type of traditional expression of black manhood on heterosexual terms. And I think this is one of the things that we see happening, as you pointed out with Black Panther, but in a slightly different way. Like Panther is clearly heterosexual, masculine, but his life experiences don't weigh out. Like he doesn't get the girl at the end. He doesn't, he's chasing her most of the movie, and she's got an arm's length kind of thing with him. So there is this kind of ongoing tone that where we can see Black men, not really being able to affect the world around them to that extent. And this is something that LeVar Burton talked about very recently, about his return to the role of Geordie LaForge in the next season of Picard. And it's confirmed that most of them are coming back. But one of the issues he said he's had for the last couple decades with his portrayal of Geordie is that Geordie never could get the girl.
Uh-huh.
And he had serious issues. He actually called that a racist trope that he ended up kind of supporting in the way his character was written. There's this thing about Black men not being able to get the girl, the awkward, nerdy guy, the incapable guy. And you kind of see a little bit of this with Mamadou's character in the film. Intelligent brother, sexuality is kind of in question. But even when he meets, DeWanda, Kayla's, her name is Kayla in the film, there's no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, no sparks. Yeah.
None. Absolutely none. And interestingly enough, there's also no chemistry with anyone else. The only chemistry we see with these Black characters is that Kayla, DeWanda Wise's character, Kayla, is looking at Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Claire Dearing, right? Mm-hmm. The redhead. That's the only chemistry you see any of the three Black actors display in regard to anything intimate. Because there's a third one. The other one is the brother Omar Sy. I don't know if his name is Sy or C.
Yeah, Omar Sy, right? Who was in the first Jurassic World movie. Right.
Absolutely, right. He plays now, and that's a trope as well, right? Because he plays the sidekick to Chris Pratt's Owen Grady. So he's the sidekick. He's the sidekick character. You really don't find out too much about him, except that he's always in support of the main character. So you see these tropes, even though these are the only three Black folk in the film, you kind of see him play out in some interesting ways where, Kayla can't be bothered with a man. Ramsey is really kind of presented as this kind of asexual, intellectual kind of figure.
The fear of Black male sexuality, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the Omar character, who plays, I guess he's Barry in the film, again, fairly asexual. You know what I mean? You've never in either one of the movies seen him engage in any kind of intimacy whatsoever. So there's,
let me tell you two things about Omar Sy. I met him shortly after I saw the first Jurassic World picture. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, there's a scene in the first Jurassic World where the last time we see him in the film, he's on a motorcycle being chased by raptors.
Yes.
And then you don't see him again until the end. He appears. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like he made it. And when I saw it at the theater, the audience applauded. Because the Black man who survived. Okay. Right. So I told him that. I said, the audience really cheered when they saw you in the movie, and he didn't get it. He was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I said, "You survived. You're a Black man who survived." And he went, "Oh," like that.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. He has a movie that premiered at Cannes. I'm trying to get to see this picture. It's called Father and Soldier. Okay. And in the movie, he plays a Senegalese father whose son is drafted by the French army, the colonialist French army during World War I to fight in France against the Germans. Mm-hmm. So he volunteers to be with his son. Okay. And I said, that's a movie I want to see.
Okay.
And it's gotten some great reviews. Except I read one review where the reviewer said the premise is outlandish. Okay, so a Black man volunteers the army to be at the side of his son to protect him, and that's outlandish. Guarantee you, if the guy was white, the critic would have said it.
Yeah, wouldn't have been. Yeah, and that goes back to the tropes about how Black men are seen as fathers, even though we know the data suggests that they're actually more interactive and supportive as far as raising kids than any other group of men. But the going stereotype for Black men has been consistent for decades now. Deadbeat fathers, so on and so forth. Let me see if we can get Artisan to kind of weigh in and give us his thoughts about this. Go ahead, man. Tell us when did you get a chance to see it and what did you think?
I haven't got a chance to see it actually because I've been at work all weekend, so I haven't seen it yet. But I've heard two people's reviews that I actually trust. My mother being one, and another friend of mine being two. And listening to his brother talk right now, he is echoing the same sentiments that they echoed. That it was not very good. Now, whereas my mother, which is interesting, obviously being a Black woman, she didn't give me that part about the sister that was in the movie. She really raved on her performance, that she was just given bad material to work with. And I'm like, okay, but you're telling me more about the character. Like, I didn't know the character was lesbian, and I didn't know that she was really just trying to be super masculine the whole time. I'm like, that was what we were having to talk about. Like, I don't understand why they keep trying to make every Black woman that show up on the screen that's halfway something to look at overly masculine. Like, is that the trope now? Or okay.
Well, that was that was the thing. Is because she's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go. Yeah, okay. You gotta go.
Gotta make her ugly. Like, you gotta make her ugly.
I could have dismissed it, but I go like, yeah, she's gorgeous. By the way, I want to talk briefly about Wakanda Forever. What somebody recently said about it. There was an interview with Angela Bassett, and she said, "quote She thinks it's going to be better. Wakanda Forever is going to be better than Black Panther." And I said, "Uh-oh."
Don't make me look at Angela the wrong way, because I like Angela Bassett. Don't make me look at her with the side eye like, girl.
Hey, playing. She plays a lot of masculine roles.
Yeah. She does.
I mean, she's made her career with that jaw, Well, she's made a career playing masculine roles.
And I can tell you, watching DeWanda Wise in this, those arms were very reminiscent of Angela Bassett in a number of flicks. Y'all remember, what's
love got to do with it?
Oh my God, Angela looked like a little bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Yeah. There was an element of that with DeWanda Wise's character, because there were just moments where she comes on screen with these arms out. And it was interesting because when I'm looking at the white women in the film, they're feminine and yet they're in action scenes. Mm-hmm. And there are moments where, and this is weird because in film we saw this whole era where women couldn't be rescued by men for this whole period of time. But in this film, you actually see men rescuing women again in a very particular way. The only one that doesn't, and I'm not saying she was never rescued, but it doesn't resonate because it barely happened, is with the Black woman character. If anything, she rescues other people. You know what I mean? So there's this really kind of interesting trade on masculinity that they do with her that you don't see happening with the other women in the film. And of course, those other women are mainly white. So it's a different situation.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, especially since it seems like the brothers that are in the movie, from what you guys are telling me, actually get to play the feminine role or the effeminate roles.
Well,
like it's a straight up switch going on. Like, this is what we're comfortable masculinity being in a Black person being this way. The other masculinity, we're not comfortable with that whatsoever.
With two Black men, and both of them are, like I said, both of them have ties to Mauritania. One is, I think Omar is raised in France, right? So you don't really.
No, Omar I saw he's from Senegal.
He's Senegalese. He was raised in Yvelines. I don't know how to pronounce it. France. He was born in France. But his father and his mother were Mauritanian and Senegalese.
Oh, okay, all right.
By way of France, so he's got that kind of experience. Whereas Mamadou was actually the child of a diplomat, if I'm not incorrect, and he was raised in Maryland. But his father is from Mauritania. So you don't see any African American men in this film. The only African American that I could see was DeWanda Wise. So there's another trope there as well. But in terms of those two African brothers, one of them is either asexual or a bit effeminate or metrosexual. The other is a sidekick. The other is the Falcon to the Captain America. That's the dynamic you kind of see happening with him. So he's not necessarily effeminate, but he's also not a take charge leader kind of figure. He very much refers to Chris Pratt's character in my assessment. But I'm curious to see what your thoughts were on that.
I gotta go see this now. Every time I keep hearing about it, it just makes me giggle a little bit because it's one of the movies that I was thinking I'll give it a chance. I'll go see it in IMAX. And when my mother has to call me in the middle of the week while I'm at work to tell me how bad the movie was, wow, it's
You know what?
serious.
I
She
think I
was
think
upset.
I think Sergio's right. It's if you like Jurassic, and I liked Jurassic Park. I like the series. I've seen all of them. You're gonna
Right.
dig the dinosaurs. You're gonna
Right.
dig seeing people get attacked that deserve to
Dinosaurs.
get attacked. You know, if you like the chase scenes, and the brother was right, the chase scene was probably the best scene in the flick. But
That's what I've heard.
you're still gonna find other scenes that stand out to you. And one of the things Jurassic has always been good at is throwing you a dinosaur that you don't expect. Something you've never seen in any of the previous movies. And there were a couple of dinosaurs that you just no. So if you're a dinosaur kid, like I was one of those kids that love dinosaurs, you're gonna get out a little bit of that. So there's something in it as long as you like the genre. But you know, so I'm not saying it's horrible and don't watch it. But I am very particular to the politics of it and the representation of Black folk.
Right. And that's more what I was looking at is like, what's the representation for us? Yes, I wanted to see people get eaten by dinosaurs. My coworker at work who went and saw it, who was bugging me about it, that's all he could talk about was the dinosaurs. He was loving it for that reason, right?
Yeah,
Mother is feeling it for some other reasons, not the dinosaurs, but all the other stuff that you're talking about, Dr. Tilson. So it's two different pools on it.
The two things that I like Fallen Kingdom. And a lot of that had to do with the director, J.A. Barona, who's a Spanish director who did films like The Orphanage. And he specialized in Gothic horror. And if you look at Fallen Kingdom, the last half hour of the movie is a Gothic horror film. It was really interesting.
The tone changes dramatically, yeah.
Right. And that's of those last three, I think that's the best of the three. The second one. But what this movie lacks, I'm talking about the new one, is what the original films had is a sense of awe.
Okay.
Jurassic Park had a sense of awe. You look at it, you go like, wow. Now everything is overkill now. You know, how many dinosaurs can we put in this movie? How many sequences can we put in? Like I said, this movie moves like lightning. There's no sense of wonder anymore. It's an amusement park ride.
Right. But you know, there's something they do. Hold on, let me just type this real quick. There's something they've been doing since Jurassic World that I was caught off guard by, and that was what I might refer to as the reintroduction of masculinity. Hold on, damn it. Just letting you know, Artisan, I was getting a little feedback from your mic, so unmute when you come back in.
My bad, paperwork.
No problem. But but here's the thing. So I call it the reintroduction of masculinity. When you go back to Jurassic World, so we've had several years of, you know, the various characters we're familiar with in the Jurassic series. Jeff Goldblum is brilliant, not necessarily the most masculine figure in the room. He's hilarious, but you know. And then you got Sam Neill, kind of quiet guy. He'll do what he has to do in the midst of the moment, but not the most, you know, outward brother. When you get to Chris Pratt's introduction, Owen Grady is your typical man's man in a very particular way. You know, he's got the knife on the back of his belt. He will fight you if it calls for that. He's smart, but he's not necessarily hyper masculine, but he handles situations, and he doesn't have a problem checking women. And that was the whole tension behind him and Bryce Dallas Howard's character. She is the typical corporate, ambitious, kind of career climbing, figure. And Chris Pratt is your blue collar, except for the fact that he trains raptors. He's got this kind of blue collar sensibility about him, and he's not overwhelmed or intimidated by really anybody, let alone her. So what you see in just Jurassic World movie when they reboot it, so to speak, is he's unapologetically masculine, but he's not hyper masculine. He's not in your face. He's very laid back, very intelligent, but unapologetically masculine. You don't really question his sexuality. You don't get he's not ambiguous in that at all. He's actually very calm in his masculine confidence. And that's something that I hadn't seen in movies and for quite a while. They continue that with the follow-up film. What was the name of it? The one that came after Jurassic World?
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, he continues that trope in Fallen Kingdom, even to the point where they get into an argument at the beginning about how they broke up. And they get into this little discussion back and forth, and he's like, well, yeah, I left you. And she was like, when did you leave me? He said, well, you didn't want to live in a van the way I wanted to, so you said go. He said, I got up and left. And very unapologetic, very calm, very straightforward. And he plays that kind of hero role. In this film, he's taken on more of a father role and a husband role, but he's still that unapologetically masculine character. And so you get to see that with some of these white men, but you really don't get to see that with the brothers in a particular way.
Right.
Give me your thoughts on that, Sergio.
No, you hit it right on the head. When we first see Chris Pratt, what is he doing? He's roping dinosaurs like he's roping cattle.
Yeah.
On the horse, right? I mean, the movie makes it from the very beginning. Now, the brother, like I said, he's intelligent. We find out that he's been secretly kind of sabotaging and doing little things behind the scenes, And I gotta once I get the film credit, they didn't kill him off.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for the movie to, particularly one scene in particular, when I said, okay, now he's going to get it. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. He just walks away. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll give him credit for that. Okay. Mm-hmm. But he is kind of namby-pamby.
Right.
And he doesn't have masculine weight in the film. And that's a problem we see in a lot of movies. I don't know about you, and I talked about this on Afro Nerd recently. Since I'm a baby boomer, I always go back to the movies I grew up with, like movies of the 60s and 70s and 80s. And I always go back to movies where you had masculine black men, like Blaxploitation movies.
Right. Unapologetically masculine, yeah.
Right. Like Predator 2.
Okay.
Do you remember Predator 2? Who's the hero?
Danny Glover. Right.
He faces the Predator.
Yes.
And he survives at the end. You go back and you say, like, I kind of took that film for granted. Now, when you look at it, you go like, man, you're never going to see something like this again.
Well, speaking of which, an artisan, I done already covered this. Did you see the trailer for the new Predator film?
I have. Yeah.
The new Predator, you got the indigenous woman who's trying to be a hunter in the midst of her group, And the one thing that got me, I was cussing, and I sent this to Artisan. He fell out laughing. I said, this woman got rescued twice in her own trailer. She got rescued by one of the Native American brothers next to her, and then she got rescued by the Predator who's hunting her. I said, man, I don't want to see this mess, man. If you got to get rescued,
here's the thing. As I said on Afro Nerd Sunday, or was it last week? It can't be any good because why are they releasing it on streaming? If the movie was really good,
okay,
they would be releasing it on, in theatrically.
No.
And I go like, this is a new Predator movie and they're releasing it on Hulu?
Yeah.
Something's up.
Now, two things that come to mind real quick. Going back. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they're releasing it on Hulu because it was part of the Disney buy from Fox. Disney got it. So it was one of those things that was sitting in the can that they could go ahead and put out. So that's why Disney owns it, and that's why they're putting it out on Hulu.
Which is why, and I said this last time on Afro Nerd, the worst thing that happened in Hollywood when Disney bought Fox. That's the worst things that ever happened. First of all, that was the end of a great film studio.
Okay.
And number two, you can't get Fox movies anymore. You can't. I saw Alien at the theater 3 years ago. It was an anniversary screening.
Mm-hmm.
And big screen, and the guy at the show that said, we can't show this again. I said,
what?
You kidding me? He said, Disney owns it. They're not going to let anybody see this, not theatrically. And I said, wow. And you think of all the sounds of the movies that Fox has made in this history that are now almost impossible to see because Disney owns them. And then, okay, are you going to ever see Aliens again? What about there are a lot of black films that
unless they put a Disney princess in it?
What's happening to all those black Fox movies? They're gone.
Which ones were Fox movies? Black Fox movies? Do any come to mind?
Films like Trouble Man. Okay. Films like I have to go down the list of all of the black theme movies that Fox made over the years. Like Stormy Weather.
Okay.
You can't really see those movies anymore because Disney owns them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a shame, because you got a whole generation, particularly Generation X or Generation um, Millennials, who really don't know history of movies. It's like one of the things about me, I guess, is because I'm old and I saw all these movies when they came out, and I learned to appreciate them and love them. And you're going to
Same
have
here.
people now who don't know these pictures.
Well, that's actually something the director of Mississippi Masala said, because that it just got re-released, the flick
Yeah,
with Denzel
Criterion,
Washington.
right?
Yeah,
Denzel, yeah.
and she was talking about how she couldn't find her own movie for
Yeah,
years. Couldn't find her own movie. When she finally found it, it was it was bought in a package by some I forget which studio,
yeah,
and she had to fight to get it back
yeah.
just to re-release it. So so this is what you're talking about is this is happening to multiple studios and films.
Yeah, I would, you can't really see Predator 2 again. You
Mhm.
can't. I got it over here in 4K, but you can't really show it again. I would love to screen it to an all black male audience.
Right, right. I would, yeah. And there's a number. Well, I'm sorry, I had to mute you, artist, and you gotta unmute to come back in. You were getting a lot of background noise.
All right, sorry about that. I'm rustling papers.
Right.
Apologies.
All right, yeah, we got it. You in a working shop. We get it.
That's why two films that I really liked in the last few years are the Equalizer movies,
Okay.
because I tell people it's old black man strength.
Mm-hmm.
That's what those two movies are about. Old black man strength. Now you can have problems with the plot or other things. He saves the white girl and protects the white girl and the white woman, but still, you got an older black man who's kicking ass.
Right.
And I said, "Gee, when's the last time we're going to see something like this again?"
Well, I'll say this much: there is a symbolism to the whole question of getting the girl. The symbolism having to do with life moving on, and that character he plays a widower.
Right.
Which they carry through both movies well. I mean, being a widower, I can say, the way he carried himself, it was very reminiscent of reality for me. I got that. There was still a point where I wanted to see him move on. And they did do a little bit of that in the first movie. Moving on in the first movie at the end meant that he was actually putting himself out there to help people. That was his way of moving on, because he was kind of stuck in time. You know what I mean? He was stuck. Remember, he couldn't sleep at night. He was going to work in the day. He was depressed, really. And the first time you see him get sleep is after he helps somebody. So that, so you see some growth.
Yeah.
And in the second one, he develops this relationship with this young man that he almost kind of takes under his wing. And that was a good kind of growth moment. Mm-hmm. But if we don't get another Equalizer, I'd be a little upset that we don't get to see him, kind of move on in a variety of ways. But
yeah, I don't know if any of you remember the TV show.
I didn't like it. I tried to watch it.
The original. I remember the original. I don't remember the Queen Latifah.
I used to watch it. Was on CBS. I used to watch it every week. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing too. You just mentioned this. Oh gosh, I just lost the train of thought now. Talk about Blaxploitation films. Those heroes, they got the girl.
Yeah, they did.
As a matter of fact, they got several girls.
But it was unapologetic masculinity, and that's one of the things I like, because I think we're in an era, and this is something I think is symbolized by Mamadou's character in this current Jurassic Park movie. There's an apologetic tone to how many men are expected to carry themselves. They almost, even in their body language, it's almost very apologetic. It's very soft toned, it's very hushed, masculine presence. And this is something that I've noticed even amongst my students' generation in terms of the social expectations of masculinity. It's very muted, and this is, and even Chris Pratt's character is not necessarily as garish as we've seen in past years with past generations in films. He's masculine, but it is a little muted. Now, when you see him in the beginning of the first movie, Jurassic World, he's fixing a motorcycle. When's the last time you saw a man fixing a motorcycle in a movie? In the second one, he was building a house. In the third one, he's wrangling dinosaurs. So he's masculine, but his presence is still a little muted. When you go back to some of those other films, especially when you talk about Danny Glover in Predator 2, You talk about unapologetic masculinity.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's no apology in him, and
I mean,
that's what
from the
I
first
love.
scene in the film, first
Yeah.
scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, they're in a standoff with these
Right.
gangsters, and he busts the standoff. He takes one look at the situation and goes into it. I want to see more because I really think this is something that younger boys and men need to see again. That you do not have to apologize for being a man. It doesn't mean that you got to be some living stereotype, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that your very existence is carried in apology either. But that's me. I want to see more of
No,
that.
you got a point. Can I tell you? This reminds me of the story. I was teaching a class once at the School of the Art Institute, and I had a few black students, and I had this one black male student. And every time I ask him a question, he'll be like, "Yo, man, I don't know, man, okay." So I had midterms, and when I read the midterms, he wrote the most brilliant paper of all the students.
Okay.
Brilliant. And so when I was returning the papers, like the next week, I told him, I said, stay after class because I want to talk to you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some black women there because they stayed because they want to hear what I was going to what I was going to say to him.
Mm-hmm.
So after all the kids left, all the white kids, I said, why do you act like a fool when this paper is brilliant? Mm-hmm. What happened? Don't you ever act like a fool again in my class. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you try to hide your intelligence. I don't know why you try to hide your intellect, but don't you ever do this in my class again. When I call on you, you will participate.
So he didn't talk in class? He wouldn't speak in class?
Well, when he did, he'll be like, man, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And I said, don't you ever do this? I don't know what kind of mindset you have or what people were poisoning your mind with. And he did. He improved. I mean, after that, he contributed.
Well,
I said, imagine if I was a white teacher, he would have let it go.
Yeah, I think in some respects, some of that I've seen with students is really kind of a social survival mechanism in black areas where you're critiqued, you're criticized for being, for wanting to participate, for wanting to engage, for liking books, for liking comic books. Go ahead, Artisan.
No, I was going to say Chris Rock said it best is that black folks like to be dumb, right? That you get criticized for knowing stuff. That's like, I don't know. Or he say black folks like not to know. What it really means is that you actually do know, but the social stigma around you knowing something in class is worse than pretending like you don't have a brain in your head.
I will say I've seen two reactions with this, and I was a nerd and I still am. So it is what it is. But I've seen two things. I've either seen people chastised for being intelligent, or I saw the gangsters protect certain people and tell them, like, I got a little bit of this at a certain age. Don't you dare come over here in terms of wanting to sell, in terms of trying to run with us. Some of them would even give you a little bit of money to stay out of here. And they would come, I had some of these cats would come to my house and check on me. How's your studies going? Are you reading? And it was a weird kind of thing because they didn't want me in their world, but they actually protected me as well. And so I've seen both elements. I've seen people chastised for their intelligence, and I've seen brothers actually protect certain people and say, you don't need to be over here with what we're doing, but we want to see you succeed. And so it's a weird kind of dynamic.
I don't know how often that happens now, but I remember I was talking to a friend of mine about that, and we remember old cats who would tell us, "Stay in school."
Mm-hmm. You're not built for this over here,
right? I may have the rings, I may have the car and all the clothes and all that, but you don't want my life,
right?
You don't want my life. I will tell you that. Oh, by the way, can I tell you one thing? This is kind of off the subject. I've been dying to tell you this. Mm-hmm. I have had many a discussion with black women talk about black men with white women. He doesn't want white women. And I tell her the story that you tell when in your class, like you have white female and Hispanic female students.
Okay.
Right. About 20%. Mm-hmm. And when you ask them why you're in the class, they say, because I'm interested in dating black men.
Yeah.
I want to know black men. Every time I tell them that, it shuts them up.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. They're like, what? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because here
Yeah.
you go. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
White women after brothers. And
Mhm.
if you think that all you gotta do is just sit down and wait for them to come, it ain't happening. Brothers are gonna go where they're appreciated.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Brothers are
I
gonna go where they want it.
yeah.
Okay, so you can't. And every time this has happened like 3 or 4 times, it shuts them up.
I just did an interview with O'Shea Duke Jackson this morning, and we talked
Oh
a
my
little bit.
guy,
Yeah,
O'Shea.
we talked a little bit about that this morning. One things I was sharing with him is that what other groups of women are finding out is that African American ADOS men are the most progressive. And look, there's even feminist sociologists that have provided data that they're more progressive than Black women on matters like gender, right? But like the best fathers in terms of the data, not just my opinion. So other groups of women are figuring this out. And one of the things we looked at is how a basic level of respect, in many ways, is really all many Black men are looking for. Is a very basic level of respect. And when you really get into other cultures, what Black men are asking for is part of the basic package of how other women are raised, especially if they're raised in a culture to appreciate masculinity. It's what they are trained to give their men is so much higher than what the average Black man is even asking for, that it sets off a whole different dynamic. So it doesn't take much for the average brother. If you have an appearance that he likes and you provide a basic level of respect, it's going to take a lot to get that brother to come back to a dynamic that hasn't been respectful for a good portion of time. And I'm talking about brothers that have dated no less than 50 sisters before they made their decision. So there is something in the culture, I argue, that is inherently misandric. And until that's resolved, you're going to see the men that women want most in the Black community going where they're appreciated.
I mean, when you have someone like Brittany Cooper, who compares Black men to the Buffalo Shooter,
Yes.
and I go like,
Yes.
I've heard some low things before.
Yeah.
I've heard some disgusting things before. But where do you get off saying something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
And more than that, to be applauded by other Black women. If she said it and nobody supported it, that would be one thing. But when you see sisters liking it, retweeting it, reposting it, and this is also on the heel. This is also around the same time Kevin Samuels passed.
Yeah.
So we're seeing people throwing celebrations. We're seeing people, talking about having parties. We're seeing people saying, burn in hell. When you're hearing those things conflated, it's just like, there's a lot of brothers that just sat back in the cut watching it going, okay. And so that tends to be one of those factors.
Well, like I said, all those women who was applauding Kevin, the passing of St. Kevin Samuels, all those people who, Father, I always say that I say, okay, yeah, but you're still alone. You still got 3 kids with no father, and you got a dog, right? And you're gonna die alone, right? How is his passing gonna improve your life? You're still in the same sinkhole you were before then.
Well, yeah, he was one of the only ones actually explaining that too. At least, he was willing to explain it. There's a lot of brothers that are at a point where they're tired of explaining. They're tired of having the argument. They're tired of having the confrontation. They've checked out, and I'm noticing this amongst really young men. They're not even having the conversation. So that said, it is what it is. Tell me,
getting back to the movies.
what would you say is on the docket after this for you? What's next as far as what you're going to review?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, this weekend, I have 2 pieces on RogerEbert.com. I've written for them before. I have a piece on this is interesting. I have a piece on an army training film from the mid-40s called Easy to Get.
I heard of that. Who's the brother in that? Jonathan, what's his name?
Oh, no.
It's not that one, the Korean War?
No. This is a training film. It's about 20 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was that during the war, you had all these soldiers from over the country, right? A lot of them from rural areas. and they were naive. So they didn't know things about VD.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And this is a movie. And this is an all black cast. A U.S. Army film about avoiding catching VD. But because the Army was segregated, they always had to do two versions. They had to do one for black soldiers and they had to do one for white soldiers.
Wow.
And also, this movie also talks about uplift. Hey, how are we going to integrate if we walk around and we got syphilis, right? Here's the trivia thing. The first woman in the movie, the first woman who gives a soldier VD, who's the good girl, is played by Ruby Dee.
God damn.
Uncredited. Nobody's credited in this picture.
Uncredited.
Played by Ruby Dee, a very, very young Ruby Dee. Of course, she never talked about this picture.
I bet.
And then also, I'm doing an interview with Reggie Hudlin, because director Reginald Hudlin, because this year is the 30th anniversary of the release of Boomerang.
Oh, wow.
And the movie's coming out on Blu-ray end of the month.
Okay.
So, dude, now, if you want to read something I wrote previously, talking about Black masculinity, please check out my article on Sergeant Rutledge, John Ford's Sergeant Rutledge, starring Woody Strode.
Okay.
This is a movie John Ford made in 1960 about a black cavalry soldier who is accused of raping and killing a white woman. Remember, this is 1960. This is 5 years after Emmett Till.
Right.
And talk about masculinity. When you see Woody Strode on the screen, he's like a tree trunk. I mean, it's. I've said this before. If he was still alive, he would have been the Black Panther.
Okay.
I mean, he's chiseled. He is chiseled. I mean, this guy was in his 50s and he's chiseled.
Do this for me. Whatever pieces you can share that are available online, send them to me and I'll put them in the link in the description box of this video and people can check you out. But in the meantime, tell people where they can find you.
Well, I'm on Facebook under my name, Sergio Mims. I'm on Instagram under my name, Sergio A. Mims. I'm on Twitter under sepia_cinema. Sepia_cinema. The reason I did that is once I was banned from Twitter because I made some comments about a movie I didn't like, and it got some MAGA people mad. So I got back on using that.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Well, I say what I feel.
Well, and you're frequently over there at Afro Nerd, right?
And that's right.
Can you tell people how to get to that?
Yeah, just go to Afro Nerd Radio.
Okay.
They have a Twitter page, Afro Nerd Radio. Just go to there, click on there. They're on every Wednesday I'm in the Midwest. They're on every Wednesday at 8 Eastern time, and then at 7 o'clock on Sundays, p.m. Eastern time. Right. Okay.
Appreciate that. I want to get Artisan to kind of give. I know he's working, so I caught him in the shop. I actually asked him to come up in the midst of him working, because he was running. But Artisan, if you would, I don't know if he can hear me. Artisan, can you? I wanted you to tell people.
I'm sorry, I'm taking care of a shop issue.
No, I know you working. I just wanted you to tell people, how they can support stand-up comics.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can support stand-up comics. You can go to the Shopify that I was looking at stand-up-comics on Shopify. Boy, Kelvin here, who I was talking to, got the Shopify stuff up, so we were talking about the other stuff that's going up on there. You can also do the Venmo, which is Stand-Up Comics 21. You can find it on there. You can also find us on Facebook under Stand-Up Comics.
Don't forget,
they feed me information. And Instagram. Check out the Instagram for all the updates, because I got two brothers monitoring that right now, and they're doing a hell of a job on it right now. So that's what we're talking about right now. Sorry about that.
And people can still become supporters and patrons through Patreon, right?
Yes, still can do a Patreon under Artisan MC.
Okay.
And any other inquiries, comics you want, or anything like that, go to standupcomics21@gmail.com, and I will answer your email and get you what you want.
Now, last thing, but not least, Artisan MC, you need to support the YouTube channel. He does a show every Sunday at 11 o'clock Pacific, 11 a.m. Pacific. Tell us, if you know what the next film review you're planning to do might be. I know your schedule's been crazy lately. What do you think?
Jurassic World.
Huh?
It's probably going to be Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I have to go home tonight and do some other watching. I need to finish Ms. Marvel before the next episode comes out, and obviously it's Tuesday night. So what is there? Obi-Wan coming out tonight?
Okay.
Or tomorrow night.
Do I need to watch Ms. Marvel, or am I going to be? I
don't know. They only had one episode. I didn't even realize it came out last week with everything else that was coming out last week. Okay. So I have to go back and watch it. I don't know.
All right.
Can I also add? I want to thank you, Dr. Johnson. I mean, fighting the good fight, and everybody in the Black Manosphere who is really out there giving Black men voice. Getting our voices heard, because for so long, we were talking, no one was listening. Now people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to thank you and people like O'Shea and Obsidian and all you guys just doing phenomenal work, and just keep it up, man. Just keep it up.
Will do. I want to thank both of y'all for taking the time to come, and I mostly appreciate that, especially considering how last minute it was my request. So thank you both for doing that. I also want to thank the audience for checking us out. Make sure you support both these gentlemen here and continue to support the Onyx Report. So I'm gonna drop you guys down, unless you have some closing thoughts you want to say before you transition out. Artisan,
thanks for watching, people, for listening, and who knows, we might meet again.
All right. I'm gonna take you down, Sergio, but hold on, I want to talk to you after.
Okay.
And brother Artisan, anything you want to say as you close out?
Appreciate the last minute invite. If you called, I had to jump on. No matter what I was doing, I had to jump on there to answer that call. I wish I would have already seen that movie so I could have went more in depth on it, but I got to go check it out just because it's getting such a lot of different feels, but it's distinct. It's distinctly two different things. So I need to go watch to get my own feel on it.
It ain't gonna be right till we get the artisan critique. So you let me know if that's on the docket Sunday or not. So
well, when I saw that you had the stream coming up for Jurassic Park, I was like, "Oh, Dr. T went and saw this." I was surprised.
That was Sergio got me in there, man. He got me in there.
Yeah, I saw you throw him under the bus. Like, yeah, Sergio maybe.
No, I wasn't in a rush, but because of that, I was like, I just got to see this shit because I didn't believe it, But again, man, I appreciate it. I know you're busy. Thanks for coming through. Any information you can send me to send out, I'm happy to help. So let me know.
Will do.
All right, brother. Peace. All right, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. I look forward to reading the comments to check it out. If those of you who've had a chance to go see it. Let me know what your thoughts are and what we may have missed. But other than that, I appreciate y'all supporting Onyx Report, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.